Guys, I'm really delighted to welcome to the podcast Mayra Flores. She is a U.S. citizen born in Mexico. She came legally to the United States at the age of 6. She became a naturalized U.S. citizen. She's a respiratory care practitioner who works caring for the elderly and the disabled and has been on the front lines helping people to fight against COVID. She's lived in the Rio Grande Valley. This is the south part of Texas, right near the border, since 2004. She's now running for Congress in South Texas, District 34. Mayra, welcome to the podcast. Really looking forward to this. You're in a district that's of a lot of interest to Debbie and me. Debbie, in fact, grew up in the Rio Grande Valley in Harlingen, Texas. Awesome. And I'm going to sort of deploy her in the second segment to talk to you a little bit about things you might have in common and about your story. So I want to focus in on a few kind of key issues that you're running on. Maybe I can begin by asking you about this kind of sea change that seems to be underway in which Hispanics, Latinos, Latinas are realizing that their kind of traditional allegiance to the Democratic Party is now kind of out of sync. The Democratic Party today doesn't stand for what you can maybe call Hispanic values. So can you begin by saying a word about that?
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to start by saying I grew up here in South Texas. I actually graduated from high school in 2004 in San Benito, but I grew up here in this area. And I've always said the Hispanic community is very conservative. Our values are pro-God, pro-life, pro-family, all about hard work. Our values align with the Republican Party, but we have been lied to. We have been told that the Republican Party is the party of the rich, that it's the party that only white people support. And that's the idea I grew up thinking. And I still remember asking my father, who should I vote for? And he told me Barack Obama. He said, you should vote for him. And I did not question him why I should vote or not vote for him. I voted for him because that's what I was told to do so. But a family member of mine came up to me and said, Mayra, do you know exactly what you're voting for? And I said, to be honest with you, I don't. So when she explained to me the platforms, I told her, I'm a Republican. That's when I realized the lack of information. So I actually started educating my family. I started telling them what the platforms were. By the way, my dad hated it because I was able to convince most of my family, to vote Republican. And it's something that I was very proud of. So I actually decided to get involved at the local level because I realized that if I was able to convince my family, what if I'm able to convince my community? What if I start knocking doors, making phone calls, making events? So I reached out to the local GOP in Hidalgo and I became the Hispanic outreach chair for 4 or 5 years and dedicated myself to the community and making sure that they knew exactly what they were voting for. That was, for me, the priority. I wanted them to know exactly what they were voting for. And when I would give them the information, they would realize that they did not support the Democrat Party's platform.
Mayra, normally the Democrats, they appeal to minorities, loosely speaking, on 2 bases. One is we have all kinds of benefits that we're going to give you if you vote for us. So this is a kind of, broadly speaking, a vote buying scheme, but it's we offer you these entitlements and you can count on them and we are the people to deliver them. And the second one is the race card. And as you mentioned the notion of only white people are Republicans, but the idea is that persons of color like you or even like me were victims in this society. We should develop a victim mentality. We should see white supremacy as the problem. It seems like you have sort of been liberated from all this nonsense, but talk a little bit about how, because it's obviously tempting enough that other people are suckered into it. How is it that you're able to sort of see through the fog and realize these people are selling us some false snake oil here that we need to be able to see through?
Right. Well, for me, my values are very important. And I've always believed that, no political party is worth us putting our values aside. So I can only speak for myself. When I saw that my values align with the Republican Party, it was no question for me, like, oh, I'm going to vote this way because these are my values. Now, this area, this community, yeah, you're right. The Democrats have always made those type of promises, but I believe that they want to keep us poor. They want to keep us poor and educated so they can continue controlling our vote. They always make the same promises about immigration. They use that issue because they understand that it's important to us. So they're always using the immigration issue, but yet they're not solving the solution, and they're never going to solve the solution because they will have nothing else to use to obtain our vote. So they're never going to, solve this issue with the immigration problems that we currently have in the United States. Is just, I don't know, everything I see on the Democrat Party is just standing against everything we stand for in South Texas. And people tell me, how can you, vote Republican if you're from Mexico? Well, it's obvious that they do not understand our culture, but our culture, again, is very conservative. And the Democrat Party just doesn't share absolutely nothing with us.
When you mentioned a moment ago, Mayra, hard work, I think what you were talking about is that what most immigrants aspire to is bettering their own life and bettering the lives of their children. So in other words, this is typically called upward mobility. You move up in life, you move from a shack to a smaller house to then a little bigger house, and then you have a yard. And then if you make it, you have a pool. This is the American dream. And it seems that what you're saying is, I believe in the American dream. I don't believe in this idea of being a perpetual victim.
Absolutely. I am the American dream. I came here to the United States when I was 6 years old. I worked in the cotton fields at 13 years old, instilling in me the value of hard work, allowing me to get an education, became a respiratory care practitioner. If that is not the American dream, what is? And I just want to make sure that our children are able to obtain the American dream just like I have achieved it. And I do believe that we should not allow the left to jeopardize the American dream. And that's exactly what they're doing.
Mayra, it's been a real pleasure chatting with you. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, I'm going to do a handoff to Debbie. She'll be sitting in this seat, and she'll chat with you in the second segment. But I do want to let you know we want to do everything we can to help you to get over the finish line. You're a great candidate, and it's about time that we turn that seat red. So we'll be right back.
Thank you so much. God bless.